Hi, how are you doing today? Fancy that walk and chat? Let's go. So today's reflection is a little bit different. It's a reflection on our time in Penang, Malaysia. So for those of you who don't know, we sold everything back in December 25 and left the UK in January 26 to travel as a family full time. So we're only in March, so we're still very early days. And we had 1 week in Kuala Lumpur. I'm not going to do a reflection on that because it was just a week, because we were adjusting, time difference, jet lag, all that. I don't think we had enough time to really see Kuala Lumpur and give it justice. So I'm not going to do a full video just for Kuala Lumpur. But we did have a whole month in Penang. So that's what this video is going to be about. I will put in some overlays, some video shots of these things as I'm talking, so you get to see it as well. So it's mainly going to be the things we did and saw, and then at the end I'll talk a little bit of what we liked and maybe didn't like so much. But I do plan on doing a separate video on Malaysia itself. So things that would go across the board, no matter where you are in Malaysia, your food, the travel, that kind of stuff will have its own video. Just to keep them a little bit shorter, eh? So, Penang. What's our thoughts on Penang? Well, the first thing we did was, or noticed, it was Chinese New Year when we were there. So Chinese New Year for 2026 was the 17th of February to the 3rd of March. And we were there from the 30th of January to 27th of February, something like that. So we saw most of it in Penang. And there were lots of malls decorated already when we got there, really. It's the year of the fire horse. So horses decorated everywhere. There were a lot of lion dances in these malls. And I looked up why a lion, especially with obviously the themes change every year. So this year's the year of the horse. Why a lion? Why does the lion dance? And it's the lion brings luck. It wards off evil spirits and it creates a festive atmosphere. So we did see lots of lion dances around during that time. Then we went to Kek Lok Si Temple. We were told this is a magnificent place anyway, which it was. But over Chinese New Year, it's all lit up with lanterns and it's a spectacular event. So we went to that. It was early on by the time we got there, so we went up to the Goddess of Mercy. So this great big statue, very, just massive and impressive. And the Goddess of Mercy is talking about compassion and fertility. Apparently people go there if they want to have children. And I guess it's sort of getting blessed by the goddess. You'll tell me all in the comments if I'm getting it wrong, all you Malaysians. So we saw that part in daylight. In fact, we got there and we couldn't even get in. And I thought, oh, is it closed? Because it actually said closed at 5:30 or something and it was 6 o'clock. But then crowds and crowds of people were coming and I was like, it can't be closed. So eventually they opened it. But then all the heavens broke and it was absolutely tanking down. So we had to stay undercover there for a bit and wait it out. And there was thunderstorms and lightning and everything. So, we were sort of trapped here at the top of this hill. Kek Lok Si Temple was a bit further down. And so we were kind of trapped up with the Goddess of Mercy, ironically, right? And it was just nice. And then eventually we were like, we're going to have to go down this hill and go and see the temple. It's getting on. And just as we said that, the lights came on at the Goddess of Mercy bit. And that was spectacular, and the view over Penang was just great there as well. So we headed down the big, steep, windy hill down to Kek Lok Si, and again, it had just been torrential rain. I mean, like we hadn't seen any rain like this. And it's full of like steps, slippy steps. I was like, oh God, are we going to fall over here? But it was all part of the fun of it, I guess, all part of the experience of seeing it as it is like that. But it was amazing, you know, the lights. Oh, it was Blackpool on steroids for temples, if I want to say it like that. It was just impressive. It just awe-inspiring, you know, like there's a big Buddha with a load of sort of students around the Buddha. There was all the rooms were amazing, arched doorways and things like that. Trying to remember. It just went on and on, like more lights, more rooms, more temple. Like it was huge. I would definitely recommend going there. It was something else. So that was I missed something out. So also for the whole month, pretty much every night, there'd be fireworks. So 5th of November, and we have a lot of fireworks, but wow, these went on for the whole month to celebrate Chinese New Year. And we could see it. We were staying near Batu Ferringhi, and so we overlooked a little beach, not the main beach, but just a little beach, and we saw them doing these fireworks every night. And we were actually next to the Hilton, and the Hilton did one night right next to us, so these fireworks are going off. So that was good, and it could be a bit annoying because they were late on as well. I remember nodding off to sleep one night about 11 o'clock or a bit later even, and getting jarred awake by these fireworks. So, but it was a good sense of community, a good sense of community celebration. So it was nice. It had a nice feel about it. So then we move on to Georgetown, the capital. And I don't know if we hadn't got used to the weather, but it was boiling, or it was a particularly boiling day, but it was boiling. Walking around the streets, we didn't know where to get dropped off. We picked a random spot. It said park. I think it was the World Park or something it was called. We thought, the park would be quite central. We'll get dropped off there. But it was a bit like an outdoor mall area. There was like a few shops and things in there. So, and it turned out it was a bit of a walk further in. Now, the only thing I'd seen about Georgetown was the street art. And I'd seen that, what's apparently called Umbrella Alley, on people's vlogs and things. I hadn't really looked at much else. I try not to, because you lose that. I think that's what happens with social media, doesn't it? You see so much, and then you get there, you feel like you've already seen it. You don't have that element of surprise anymore. So I didn't really look at anything else that was in Georgetown to know where to go, what to do. So we just ended up walking around the streets in the boiling hot weather. And I'm like, I'm not seeing any street art. I think you can find it online, can't you? It tells you where to go and you can find them. But again, I only found that out afterwards. So walking around trying to find this street art, and I said, I've not even seen the umbrellas. I was getting really frustrated. When we got hungry and we didn't know what to feed the girls, and it just got a bit hot and flustered. But Georgetown itself was good. We went into a temple. Oh, in fact, we did the mosque first. We went into a mosque and we had to get covered up and had a little walk around in there. We spoke to a volunteer. I've done a whole video on this because the video is entitled, Can Malaysia Teach Us How to Live More in Harmony? Just because the way the religions, so many religions, and they all get on, I found that amazing. So that stemmed from that time when we were in there, chatting to that volunteer in the mosque. And then from there was a temple, a Tibetan temple, I think it was. Bit of a museum kind of thing, I think. I can't remember what it's called now. If I remember, I'll put it up on the on the screen. So we saw some temples, we saw some mosques. There was more Chinese New Year decor. We found a shop that did a little wishing well thing. So there was like a ribbon, and you had to put a wish down for somebody else. And so we all did. We all four of us did this ribbon. You put a penny. You put a penny in the, a coin in the well. You tied the ribbon up above the well, and then you had to ring a bell. So it was a nice little activity for the girls to do. So we all did that. And then we finally found the street art. We didn't see all of it. I don't think I saw the bike, the one that main people put on. But we saw a lot of it. So you can see what we did see. And it was nice. It was just quite hot, really quite hot. But because of Chinese New Year, I mean, we went there before Chinese New Year because we wanted to go there before it got busy. And the intention was to go again during, but we just didn't fancy facing the traffic and things. Because apparently 2 million people go to Penang to celebrate Chinese New Year, including the Chinese. So that's how big it is. That's how big Chinese New Year is in Penang. So that was Georgetown. And then we move on to Batu Ferringhi. The best beach was Batu Ferringhi, we believe, we understand. So a little bit further on from where we were staying, you come to Batu Ferringhi Beach. And to be honest, we didn't spend a lot of time there. Again, I think it was just the heat. But there was one night when we were walking around, we were trying to find the night markets because we've been there a while and still hadn't found them. I think we just got there early, too early really, they weren't open. So there was this one night we went to have something to eat on the main street. And after we'd finished eating, we were trying to cross this road. And for some reason, I just thought, oh, there's a lot of traffic going down a road that seemingly is quite a dead end, a dead road. So I said we had nowhere to go, nothing to do, we were just mooching about. So I said to hubby, let's go down here. So we carried on going down, there's a few more bars and shops and things. And he's like, oh, there's no here, let's go. And I said, no, we'll keep going because there's still loads of traffic. And then it turned out that this was Batu Ferringhi Beach. And all down there at night time had these fire shows. So I was like, wow, we sat there on the beach and we watched these fire shows. They were brilliant. There's like loads of them down the whole length of the beach there. And yeah, just really good fire show. Something for free, you give donations. But the girls loved it. So that's Batu Ferringhi, the beach, and the sort of night market and the fire show. And then we went to Entopia Butterfly Farm. And this was quite impressive. Again, it's up that side of the island, sort of northwest of the island. And so it was close to us, so that was handy. We went there and it was busy. Like, it's all in a dome. And so I don't really get claustrophobic, but because there were so many people all crowding in, I was like, oof, I'm feeling it a bit. But other than that, really good. Definitely worth a go to it. It's not just butterflies. It's insects, big, massive insects. The whole education around butterflies, and not just the cycle, a little bit more than that. You could hold a giant insect, so the girls did that. They held giant insects. They had a Chinese New Year activity as well. There's a massive education part to it. But it was the main thing is you get to walk around in this dome with the butterflies flying around. The girls are trying to catch them. I'm like, don't wreck them, don't hurt them. So, well worth a visit. Definitely recommend Entopia Butterfly Farm. Then we come to Penang Hill, which is obviously the main attraction for Penang. my reflections on Penang Hill. So we were told by a taxi driver to go late in the day, either first thing in the morning or late in the day. So there's a tip for you. We chose later on because we were told there's food there and things like that. So I thought, okay, we can have tea there kind of thing. So we went about, I don't know, 3-4 o'clock. And this taxi driver we got said, oh, it's going to be really busy now because now we're really into Chinese New Year. And he said, have you got tickets already for the little cart that takes you up the hill? And I said, no. He said, oh, well, for the same price, you can go a little, like another way in, another side to it, by a 4x4. And it's the same price for the whole family, you know. So like, okay, we'll just do that then. Because he said you could be waiting an hour or two to get on the funicular, I think they call it. Like, it's like a tram up the hill. So we chose the 4x4. We did that. If you don't want to do that if you're car sick. So we got there, we had a look around. It was overcast, which was good for us as in managing the weather, but perhaps not so good for the view, unfortunately. So it was a bit hazy. You couldn't see it all the glory of it, unfortunately. But we still could see a view, so that was good. I guess the disappointment came. I mean, I know it's a tourist attraction. I know it's going to be busy. But I think it's perhaps maybe lost its beauty because you expect the busy, but I didn't expect such commercialism. There was building work. I think there was going to be a car park or something, or some sort of more night markets, like a huge like food market thing. There was lots of shops up there. There's its own police station, which I can't understand. And it's just so busy. Any area you could get a good viewpoint from, was hijacked by something you had to pay for. Like, there was a platform with binoculars that you could pay for. And that was in a good spot to get a good view. I was like, oh. And then something that they have at Gretna in Scotland, where you get a lock. There's like a bridge and you can lock your love in. You write your name or something like that. That's the idea, that's the concept. And they had, again, in a good viewing point, right at the edge where you can see, these massive hearts that you could use a lock on. But you had to pay to do that. You had to pay to even go in that bit. And I was like, oh, that's it's just a bit of a waste of that space where you could be seeing the beauty naturally. Like, why do you have to pay for it? So other than that, like, I just felt it was a bit too consumerized. That's even a word. But for what it was, we enjoyed it. There's a walk that you can go around, some sort of like skywalk thing. And we went to go and see. But it was just too pricey. I mean, we'd spent a lot to get up in the 4x4. So it was already quite pricey. We weren't prepared to pay for that skywalk, so we didn't do it. And we just walked about the grounds, and it was lovely. And it was cooling down. And we saw all the monkeys. So that was when we really start to see these monkeys and get used to them, because they are everywhere. There was also another temple there, so that's another thing we saw. And a playground that was there as well. So then it came to getting back down, and no one told us what time these 4x4 people stop. So we get back to the pickup place at around 7ish, and was it about 7:30? Just as it's getting dark, and there's no 4x4s. And we're like, oh no, how are we going to get back down? We've already paid for this ticket. There was one on the road, and there was a few in like a car park. So I went to go and ask someone, and they said, oh yeah, you just wait there. And then we waited and waited and still no one came. And then someone came for this bright green 4x4. And I was like, oh, can you take us down? And he's like, oh, well, we've actually stopped. We've finished now. But I'm going down, so yeah, I'll take you. I was like, that was lucky. That was really lucky. So if you get the 4x4, make sure you know what time they stop. So you're not trapped up at Penang Hill. And for me, I'm saving the best to last, because the world schooling community in Penang was out of this world. I want to give a big thank you to Ness and Andy that run it. They've got busy lives themselves, and they're still putting out these meets every week, 3 meets a week. So they meet in a youth park. I'll come on to that in a minute. They meet in a cafe, and they meet in like a promenade along the quay area. So the promenade one is on a Saturday, and it's 4:30 till 7:30. And it's just bring a picnic, chat with other parents, and the kids go and play by themselves. Great meet up, you know, take what you want, go and buy takeaway food, hot food if you want, or bring your own food and just sit there and enjoy. And, you know, I've said this before about Malaysia with the third spaces, you know, because of the weather and because, especially at night time when it cools down, you just see people outside in these third spaces, and it's just so nice, such a nice feeling. The cafe is on a Monday, and the idea is that you bring like board games or whatever. There's a park opposite as well, but that one's in the day, so it can be a bit hot for them to spend much time over there. But that's the cafe. And then my favourite has to be Youth Park. And you'll see in these pictures how vast it is, how massive. It's like in its own natural forest, and then you get these pools and splash parks, not just a splash park, but actual pools as well. And the size is just massive. And again, those monkeys are around. So the first time we were there, we were told, don't take your bags to the pool. So we meet up, there's a cafe there as well. So we normally meet in the cafe and then eventually go to the pool area. It's also a massive playground. So we were told when it was time to go to the pool, don't take your bag because the monkeys will get in it. So they said, we're here, you can leave your stuff here. So we did, we took their sound advice, but some didn't. And we got invaded by about 15 monkeys all at once, and they got into somebody's bag, and towels flying everywhere, bags flying everywhere. They knew what they were looking for. They'd done this before. They found a box and opened it, and they were into whatever was in that, into the food, whatever was in it. They got hold of drinks, started sucking on people's drinks. It was just bonkers. It was like, and then someone like tried to go rah and chase it, and it just went yeah, like it was just quite scary. Eventually we found its kryptonite and just splashed a load of water over it, and they ran off. But that's a tip for you. If you're going to go to parks, anywhere like that, don't get food out because they know it's in those bags. Keep your bags with you, and if you need water, splash them if they do come, and have a stick. I think that's the key. But such a lovely day there. You know, I think we met at 12 in there till about 5. So really, really good. Really enjoyed the youth park. But there was a Chinese New Year workshop. So there's a woman that runs like an art studio from her apartment. And at first I was like, I didn't know who was going. I didn't know how the group was going. Because you leave them for 2 hours, you leave your kids. And I was like, I don't know. And then I found out who else was going. So I knew that the girls would know some of the kids. And I felt a bit better about it. And it was only 5 minutes from a mall. So could always go back if needed. But they loved it. They really loved it. They sang. They watched a film. They watched like a story about the Chinese New Year and the horse. And they made their own moving horse. So that was good. And we even went out for a night out with some mums, and we ended up at a Korean food place. So that was the icing on the cake. I mean, this community, I can't rate it enough. So you've got your regulars that either have full-time visas to stay there, or you've got people that are still doing the 3-month visa, but they stay there for a year, like they have a place for a year because it's cheaper to do that. And then they go and do the visa runs or go travelling and then come back. So that is what people do. So you get a lot of people that are there, regular. But then you get the people that are just coming through like we did for a month or a few weeks. So it's nice. And some weeks are quieter, some weeks are busier, but it's nice. And you tend to still get the regulars. Because we went to all of them. We were there right from the start because we got given the name of the coordinator. We got given when we were in KL. So we went 3 times a week for the 4 weeks we were there. So to be out with the mums was just, felt like home. It's like, wow, I'm going out with the girls. Like I'm having tea out. It was like really special. And then something special for hubby too, because one of the guys had a 3D printer, and he said, "Oh, I've got a present for you." They must have been chatting at some point, and Richard said he liked fishing, and he made him a fishing rod, like all the intricate details of it, like the spinny wheel. I don't know what they're all called, the spinny wheel of it, and it all like extended. It was just, I could see inside Richard sort of welling up. He was like, "Wow, thanks, man. This is amazing." So he just needs to find some wire for it and off he'll go. So that was the biggest thing, the World Schooling Meets. And generally speaking, I think Penang has really set the bar. I really did enjoy our time in Penang. I think where we were up at the Batu Ferringhi Beach, I might like to go a little bit more towards where the hubs, where these meetups were, or get a car next time. So that's probably what I'd do differently. But I still did like where we were. I liked being close to that little beach. I just wish it would have been a bit bigger. A bit like this one, really. It's just a little beach. But we can't have everything. So I really loved Penang. Like I say, I'll do another video about the ins and outs of sort of food and travel and accommodation and things like that, generally, as a general Malaysian video. Hope you've enjoyed the video footage of Penang. Hope you've enjoyed my reflections. Thanks for watching. Much love. Bye for now.